Let's, what's the, oh my God, today's over at 12. Call to order the, May 12th Board of Health meeting. Good evening, everybody. First order of business is, review the, minutes from the it's April 7th, huh? Board of Health meetings. I trust everybody, had a chance to review the minutes. Oh my God. I didn't see anything. Did you see anything that needed to be corrected?
I didn't. I would make a motion to accept them as presented.
And I would second, thank you. All right, we will, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and anybody opposed? No, okay. We will accept the minutes as written from the April 7th Board of Health meetings. Minutes. Why do I keep saying meetings?
It's all right.
It's the M word.
I think we're just weirded out because the sun's out.
I know, why, but the sun should not be out
No,
for one of our
it's
meetings, right?
nice to see the sky for a change.
I know, huh? Beautiful. All right, the second order of business, we are continuing, we're gonna open up for the public hearing for the amendments to Article 10 for the keeping of animals. And that we had had a discussion, would you wanna take that?
So I can touch a little bit on
Yeah.
that, Madam Chair. So again, we did have that public hearing a couple of months ago where we discussed amendments to the current Article 10 animal regulations. We did vote to continue that public hearing to this evening following a public comment period. In that time, we did receive 2 public comments which I forwarded to you.
Yeah, I did review those.
And we haven't received any further comment from the public. And again, I do want to reiterate that some of these amendments to this particular article are going to aid in the department as far as enforcement is concerned. It adds a little bit of teeth to what we're trying to do as far as regulating animal populations as well as any sort of nuisance animals or other adverse conditions that may arise due to keeping of animals. So in light of what we've seen over the last 60 days, I would make a recommendation to the board that we hold a vote to amend the current Article 10, keeping of animals, and make this particular correspondence effective immediately, to coincide with the warmer months that are coming up, at which point, during our permit renewals, we'll send out a copy of the new regulation when it was enacted. We'll send a copy to the DEP, which is protocol for any new Board of Health regulations. But what we can do at this point, Madam Chair, if it pleases the board, is that we can have a roll call vote on it, following any discussion you guys want to have.
So are we gonna open it for 2 minutes?
Yeah. All
All right, so before we have a roll call vote, I'd like to just see if there's anybody in the audience who has like just a 2-minute comment on whether they have an opinion on whether or not they are opposed or for this amendment to the regular Article 10 regulation for roosters. I'll just open up the floor.
I have a question. I was against this in the beginning, but I've talked to people and I talked to John. Apparently, inherently, rooster is a nuisance, almost by definition.
Right.
Because I just thought, you laughed at me. You can't ban an animal, it's like
Yeah.
saying, but just by definition, a rooster is a nuisance.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
So, okay, and that's,
We're not prejudiced against them, they just are a nuisance animal, that's
okay,
what they're.
all right, that's,
Thank
you
you.
educated me.
And
So
Madam
I'm good with
Chair, if I do say so, I did do some research after the fact due to the idea that, well, I don't want it to seem as though we're the only ones doing it.
Right, right, yeah.
So, more than half of the state has some type of language
Yeah.
regarding banning.
I didn't realize it was such an issue.
And we're,
It's a bird.
Yeah,
I didn't see
so-
what the big deal was. Apparently.
No, they get aggressive, they load it up with testosterone.
Well, I guess they're loud.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Very
certainly.
loud.
Yeah.
But they are aggressive.
Yeah.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, to me,
But yeah, so we would join the over 150 other towns and cities that do have language. So, like
So
I
we're
said,
not reinventing the wheel, we're just adopting the language.
we're just cleaning it up. We're just cleaning it up a little bit. That's all.
All right, so,
So I can hold the roll call vote,
Please.
if that pleases the board.
It does?
Okay, and so we'll be voting on the amendments to Article 10, keeping of animals in the Saugus Town Code. Maria Tamagna,
Yes.
Joya Ciccolini,
Yes.
Joe Durant,
Yes.
Anthony Bacopoulos.
Yes.
And then Jerry is not present, so that's a 4-0 vote. And like I said, what we'll do is I will send a copy off to the DEP, we'll notify them of the changes, and we'll reach out to the town clerk's office about amending the language on the website, as well as we'll send some notifications out to all of our properties.
Perfect, thank you, Joe. Okay.
I'll just wait. Wait till people start complaining.
I know, I know.
Well,
Hi, third up, how are you? Wind waste? Very well, thank you.
What's happening, Elliot?
A lot less excitement about the animals this go around, but good evening, Madam Chair, Director Freilich, and the other Board of Health members. Since the last Board of Health meeting on April 7th, the facility operated at approximately 87% boiler availability, processed just over 39,000 tons, and generated just shy of 21,000 megawatts. The facility had 2 scheduled downtime events during this period, totaling 218 hours. Since the last meeting, the facility has shipped approximately 6,404 tons of ash to Wind Waste Shrewsbury facility. From April 8th to April 10th, the 9-month stack testing evolution was completed at the facility. All preliminary indications are that results were well below regulatory limits. The testing was observed by Tech Environmental on behalf of the town. On the 16th, there was an unannounced Mass DEP monofill inspection. 2 Mass DEP representatives inspected the monofill and valley fill construction. No issues were identified during the inspection. On the 23rd of April, there was an unannounced third-party and Tech Environmental monofill inspection. No issues identified during the inspection. On April 26th and 27th, we called the Saugus Fire Department and Saugus DPW to the facility for 2 separate city water leaks at the plant at the fire pump house building. Operations weren't affected by the water leaks, and the facility was able to bypass the affected area to restore normal operation. Additional repairs took place in conjunction with a local contractor and DPW on May 6th and May 8th. From a community update, we were pleased to help and provide some funding for the new scoreboard at the Little League field on Hurd Ave. And I appreciate the opportunity. They had me down there and got to help with the opening day ceremony and throw out the first pitch. So that was fun. But that's all I got for my update.
I live right behind it, I could hear it from my house.
Yeah, they had a nice little
Every year.
parade and
Oh, yeah.
everything. It was
Every
pretty
year,
cool.
that looks like such a fun day.
Yep.
Kids are too old now. I kinda miss it, not really. Been there, done that.
Yep.
Kids are starting to T-ball.
Oh, they did, the kids, oh my God, yeah. Thanks, Elliot.
Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, I thought you.
So you mentioned the DPW was down at the site as far as repairs and what have you, because I was just curious as to specifics of what was leaking and what.
On the facility has a 12-inch water main that comes into
Yeah.
the facility, and then it tees off to basically all our city water, plant needs, and then the fire system is 10-inch. We had an elbow that broke on the city water line, so got that replaced along with a couple couplings, and then we're just kind of looking at future repairs or improvements to make down there as well, with the same contractor and in talks with the DPW.
Okay, great, thank you.
Did you have a
I have a
report?
couple questions. First of all, how much did you say? How many tons were shipped off?
6,404 tons shipped
6,400?
4.
Okay, thanks. Over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, I've been asking for
I
an
s-
accounting,
Yep,
okay?
I sent you an email this afternoon with the annual progress report, so you should see that in your email. I sent it today.
Oh, today,
Really?
today?
Oh, did it go to the Board of
No,
Health?
I sent it directly to you too, so you had it. That same progress report for the monofill.
Oh, okay.
So you should see that. That should have, I think, most
All
of the
that information that that we requested? It was outside, it's really outside of what you usually,
Yeah,
but.
It
but
should
we're
be.
just trying to get a better accounting of how much ash is generated, how much is shipped out, how much is disposed of on site, just to get a handle on that, since, you know, things have changed over the last year, since, and if you can, if that accounting is available right from the beginning of when you started shipping until now, we'd really appreciate it.
yep, yeah, that should be all covered in that annual progress report. It's still the Moses
Oh,
email.
the annual? The
Yep.
annual progress report?
Yeah.
We got the annual progress report, and it's comprehensive, it's not detailed as far as by month. It has like 42,000 tons was shipped off during that year, okay? Trying to
Yeah.
get a monthly
You want it just by
accounting
month?
of,
Okay.
each month, so we could see how much was generated, how much was shipped, and how much was disposed.
Okay, yeah, I can take that
Okay.
back.
Yeah, you have that.
Great, Thank you. Thank you, appreciate that.
Thanks, Elliot.
Anything else?
One more thing.
There was, we got a report that went to EPA on a summary of an incident, okay, on April 13, 2025?
Yes.
It sounded very similar to the one we had in January, where a turbine tripped and there was a lack of cooling water, there was and at that time, there was a CO permit exceedance. And I'm curious whether this was the same type of incident? Was it related to cooling water? And was there any exceedance on any of your CEMs?
So it was a similar event where the screen stopped rotating, but there was no loss of cooling water, there was no effects to the boilers. The traveling screens were required to rotate every 15 minutes per 30 minutes. Both screens are not redundant.
Okay,
So only one failed to rotate for one 30-minute period, and that's what it's our NIPD's permit, so we file a NIPD's malfunction report with the EPA.
And
And
that's-
that's detailing that incident.
okay, so that's the violation of the NPDES permit?
It's
Is that
It's
like
not
the
deemed a violation until the EPA deems it a violation, but we're reporting the malfunction.
incident, like an
Because
incident report?
It said cause of the trip. So did that,
The
I mean, to
screen-
me, that means you tripped the turbine?
No, the screen.
No, just
motor
the
tripped.
screen.
Okay, great.
What kind of-
No, I'm just trying to get some sense of it. We still having problems
Is that
with
what-
the
is that
cooling,
acronym for? I'm sorry.
with the
National
cooling
Pollution
water.
Discharge Elimination, S.
Right.
I hate those acronyms.
It's the
Oh,
discharge,
alphabet
it's the
soup.
water discharge
Okay, I know, I
permit.
was just curious, and then anytime I hear an acronym, I like to know what it is. Sorry, I didn't catch your second question.
So are we still having problems with cooling water?
No, I mean, it was a one-off incident.
That was when it froze.
Okay.
Well, that was when it froze. This one, there was just a large amount of seaweed. It's a seasonal issue where there's a lot of seaweed that goes to the intake, and it just happened to, the weight of it just bound up one of the screens. And they cleared it off and got it running right.
Okay, great. I just have one more quick question. I just want to know whether we got a copy of the document, okay? In the third-party inspection report, I think it was April or something like that, it talked about an EPA inspection that occurred in November of 2024, and then there was a notice of violation, and it was probably minor, it was just labeling by labeling violations, a battery that wasn't,
Labeled.
and then a contingency plan that had to
Had to
be
be
modified, I believe that was the extent of it. Did we receive a copy of that?
It wasn't modified.
Okay.
The emergency medical location had closed, so we had to send it to our new one. But the plan you have on file is the same as it has been. So,
So has Union Hospital changed?
Yes.
Yes, they closed,
Right.
and then the EPA identified that we didn't then send the plan to Melrose Wakefield.
Oh,
So we
okay,
sent the current plan to Melrose Wakefield.
okay, okay, great. But did we get a copy of that notice of violation?
It was in the report.
We made mention of it here, and
Okay.
the notice of EPA issued us the notice of violation, we didn't send out a report about it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's,
Hanging on
oh,
back.
are you hiding back there too?
There's plenty of seats.
I
up
know,
there.
I'm like, I look over here, I'm like, Terry's on public health nurses report. Good evening, Terry.
I had to bring my son, so he's in the corner there. Okay, so April report, public health nursing report. 7 cases will go infectious disease, so 7 cases of COVID. Again, that doesn't include rapid tests, but very good in terms of numbers. Foodborne illnesses, we had 5 this month. 19 cases of influenza, which that is down from 201 in February, which is where we are usually around this time. 3 cases of Hep C. We did have 9 cases of tuberculosis, which is on the higher side for Saugus. However, I want people to know, like, if they hear this number, we see tuberculosis cases every month. People think that it has been eradicated, but it hasn't. We have a really good vaccine, a BCG, which is given to high-risk populations. We have great treatment and early detection, so that's why, we don't see TB as we did, 40, 50, 60 years ago. But it's still in the community, and it's monitored, and we do a great job with it. But we did have some higher cases this month.
Excuse me, Terry.
Yes.
Active or latent?
So one was hospitalized, 3 active, and
3 active.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so usually it's latent or active. Active are the ones that we really have to worry about. They have to get treated. They are the ones that are contagious. And latent are the ones that might have had it in the past, or it's just not contagious.
It's still reported.
Yeah, it's still reported.
But I like to point that out because
Yes,
it's not as troublesome.
it's not.
Yeah.
Nope,
Thank you, though.
absolutely.
That's
Yep.
good number.
Yep. So 3 are actually 4. One is hospitalized, and 3 are
Thank
active.
you.
We have 4 Lyme cases, so just to be aware, the weather is getting warmer. Please check yourself and your pets that once they go outside, because ticks are out there. I told you about the influenza cases. The big thing I wanted to talk about again is measles. It has hit 28 states so far. So the last time we talked, it was, so as of 5/8, this is according to the CDC website, 1,001 people have been affected. That's 600 more than last month. So you can see how fast it spreads. And 3 people have died. 97% of the people were unvaccinated. And of this 1,001 cases, 93% have been diagnosed, who have been diagnosed are due to the outbreak. So that's a pretty high number. In the past, during these outbreaks, only 50 to 70%, never more than 70% of cases in the U.S. could be related back to the outbreak. So that means 93% of that 1,001 number is related back to one case, right? There is a vaccine. It's a very good vaccine, MMR. It's given 2 doses.
It's given one at 12 months and then one around 4 or 5. If you are traveling, however, and you have some son or daughter who's younger than 12 months, ask your pediatrician. They will give it to you before that 12-month period. And just to, in the U.S., pre-measles vaccine, 400 to 500 people died yearly, and 40,000 were hospitalized. So, yep. And there is no true treatment for measles. You just have to let it kind of run its course. You treat the symptoms. You don't treat measles itself. Another thing I kind of wanted to touch upon is the Narcan, or this Godsent program, which was a $56 million annual grant program that the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration funded. They trained over 66,000 people and distributed more than 282,000 kits of Narcan, but that grant program was canceled last month. So we will see a decrease in Narcan. If you have any questions about Narcan or addiction, I will refer people. There's a wonderful program out of Lynn. It's called Healthy Streets Outreach Program, and their number is 888-349-0397. And they are fantastic, and if you ever are in need of Narcan or questions about addiction, they are more than happy to help. Oh, that's it. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Oh, yeah, yes.
Can I ask a question?
Oh,
Of
I'm
course.
sorry, yeah, I was, yes.
You had mentioned ticks.
Yes.
Does the Department of Public Health, is there any reporting requirements on Lyme?
So we get, the public health nursing gets reports on any person who has Lyme disease in the city. Once they've been obviously tested, yes. And so we keep we call, we see how they're doing, make sure that they're being treated, but we also keep kind of an idea of how many people are getting Lyme, because if it's a huge cluster, then we take notes like, where have you been? And if, they say, well, we were at Breakheart, the majority of people say, oh, we were at Breakheart, then, I would let John know, and we would do something else about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Tony. John,
All right.
next up, your
So-
report.
I've been trying to keep you guys as
Yeah,
up to date as
thank you.
possible.
Thank you, wonderful.
With my check-ins. So I'm just gonna touch on a few things that were part of the last check-in, as well as touch on what the plan is gonna be for the early summer. So just jumping right into it, so at the Nickley property at 829 R Broadway, where Raising Cane's and Grill House is. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about fats, oils, grease issues that they've been experiencing over there. So after we kept kind of being reported of blockages and what have you, we did kind of look down to see what the story was as far as what the sewer system looked like and what have you. We initially had gone out there in March to try to kind of zero in on what was going on. And the first thing that we thought of was obviously the Grill House's grease trap being, malfunctioning or what have you. Come to find out, we did a little bit more research on what the actual sewer system looked like. And, it connected to Forest Street. Our initial thoughts were that it just connected out to Route 1 and there were lift stations and what have you, but actually it goes out the back of the property onto Forest Street. And so we kind of followed the trail, essentially. And what we discovered was there was a kind of a forgotten manhole that was covered by leaves and other yard debris and a retaining wall built over it. And come to find out, that was kind of the source of all the blockages. I mean, it had been forgotten about for probably 30 or so years. Probably talking about like when Border Cafe was still there, you're probably talking about that kind of grease being in that system. So BMC came down, cambered the whole thing, jetted the whole thing. and restored that line back to 100%. And we've spoken to the owners of the property and basically kind of come up with a standard operating procedure as far as what the next steps are gonna be. So, you know, we got the camera footage and all that good stuff. So like I said, the line's been restored, and we don't expect there to be any further issues down there, but we just wanna make sure that this doesn't happen again. So we're gonna be probably reaching out and saying that, they're gonna have to do that probably once a year. So it was good to kind of pathfind an SOP out of this whole thing, but ultimately at the cost of a couple of blockages and what have you. So hopefully everything continues on as we planned there.
Is the manhole now of that?
Yeah, so we
available?
spoke to the folks at 3 Nicolay Circle, and they had only been living there for a couple of months, and they really had no idea, you know what I mean? So previous owners had built this retaining wall over it, and it was like, well, we need access to this manhole, like, you know, we need to know what the story is. And pop the manhole, and it's just like up to the brim with grease, you know, like full to the brim. So it was like, okay, well, here's the problem, you know? Because when we went in there in March and we were, you know, had to mess around with the grease trap and the initial part of the line there, you know, there was blockage still down the line that we really had no idea about. And then we get the call from the DPW later on that month saying, hey, there's another, you know, backup. What's the story? I thought they did X, Y, and Z. And come to find out it was, you know, a blockage right at the end of this private sewer system. So, like I said, we reached out to the owners and we were just like, hey, you know, you need to be going in there every year, at least every year, depending on, you know, so we have an in-person inspection for the next grease trap pumping at Grill House, just to verify that everything's working as it should. And barring any sort of crazy stuff, we should be able to kind of close the book on that, at least for the time being. You know, again, as far as other things going on Route 1 Sarah's Market, we were made aware of a collapsed drain pipe that was connecting to the town sewer system. So we forwarded that information off to the DPW. They're currently looking at, you know, sewer. They looked at sewer use regulations and basically told them what, you know, they're gonna be responsible for, what the town would be possibly responsible for, and then they're gonna sort it out. But I believe it's already been squared away with Sarah's insurance company, so we haven't heard any further issues from that regard. Sticking with Route 1, so we finally closed the book on the fog issues that the Route 1 lift station was experiencing. We did discuss possibilities of installing garbage grinders at this particular lift station that's right in front of the Saugus Mobile Park at 846 Broadway. So when we were kind of doing our research here, we were trying to figure out, you know, well, how is, you know, grease getting from, you know, the Toll Brothers property all the way down the line, out to Route 1, then down, you know, so you're talking about, you know, half a mile of pipe that it's all just collected. And so, I mean, we kind of, you know, did a little bit deeper of a dive, you know, and come to find out there's a lot of debris that was getting into it. So again, talking about household items, the wear needles, you know, that kind of thing. And so we kind of, you know, looked into who the contributors to that lift station were, and we sent some notices regarding like plumbing etiquette to them, because it's tough to really kind of pinpoint what any given item is coming from any given property. So we just kind of sent those notices out to the owners of the property, basically say, hey, listen, you know, you gotta, you know, if you do have tenants, if you do have, you know, patrons, you gotta police it, you gotta make sure that people aren't flushing stuff down public toilets and what have you. And then the food establishments that are connected to that lift station, we made go to a bi-monthly versus a 4 times a year pumping schedule for their exterior grease traps. Then we haven't heard any more complaints, so hopefully that has squared that away as well. But they did receive their final occupancy. And then, so we did, I mentioned last month that we did a plan review for Katrina's Taqueria down at the old Dragon Island restaurant on Hamilton Street. So they had their opening on Friday. You know, they kind of slid into home as far as that's concerned. I mean, they sent out a flyer to town hall and they said, hey, come get your free lunch. It's like, you haven't gotten your occupancy permit yet, you know what I mean? So we had to kind of slap them on the wrist there, but everything looked to be in order. Anyway, that particular establishment's kind of notorious for having some issues before, so we've shut Dragon Island down several times due to grease backup and what have you. So we're gonna be kind of watching them like hawks. We kind of let them know what the situation was as far as the facility itself was concerned. And then we gave them some pick duty notifications that we're gonna have translated into Spanish and, you know, make sure that they understand what needs to be done. Because when we were there, you know, there was some, you know, not glaring issues, but there were certainly some issues that, you know, I brought up to the owner to let them know what the story was. So we're gonna be watching them fairly closely. in keeping with the grease situation. So we do have a grease access program on the Board of Health Drive that we have been actively updating since, we've kind of had, a number of different grease issues. So it looks like it hadn't been, it was kind of lost in the archive essentially. So we dug it up and updated everything with all of our current food establishments, and now we have it, in a position where we kind of have access to the most up-to-date information that we have. So Carly's been doing a great job as far as that's concerned with all of our clerical stuff. We did have one other situation, and this is pretty much the last thing I have for you, is so we were dealing with a trash collection issue, not as far as like picking up is concerned, but there was a lot of wind-blown trash that was kind of collecting at the bottom of Lincoln Ave and Winter Street. And it was, part of a bus stop. We were starting to get a lot of complaints about it. And initially, we had thought that the owners of 93 Lincoln Ave were the cause of it. And, at first glance, we knocked on the door, we talked to the owners, and they were very, amicable as far as cleaning everything up. But they also mentioned that it was like, well, but it's coming from up there, you know what I mean? So we look up the hill, and there's a kind of a trail, like a Hansel and Gretel trail of papers and stuff going up the hill. So we started looking around at what, might, where this could be coming from. And, so we ended up getting a lead that it was coming from a property on Hemingway Drive, or Hemingway Road, rather. And so we went up, and, the property was kind of in shambles, to be honest with you. So, and the topography of the property was subject to, trash is definitely just gonna build up here, especially given the fact that, you got a guy that's, just getting stuff off Craigslist and putting it there. And a lot of fruit trees, a lot of peat moss, a lot of, tin basins, a lot of gardening stuff that just hasn't been put into the ground yet. So, I mean, we spoke to the gentleman, he was very, very nice. And we gave him till July 1st to kind of make a palpable improvement. And the main thing was like, listen, there's trash blowing off the property, and it's going down and collecting on the street down there. So we need to do something right now as far as getting rid of that and getting rid of this, So, like I said, he was very amicable to the situation. He kind of gave me the, oh yeah, you sound like my wife, that kind of thing, And so, it sounds like he's ready to, to cooperate with us. So we're gonna go back in July and make sure that he's made, these improvements that he's talked about. And, just like I said, the situation and the topography of the back of the backyard was really, you're talking about a 20-degree slope down the hill. So, I mean, as far as getting stuff out of there, it's like, all right, pace yourself. You're not gonna be able to do it all at once because it's like there's one way in, one way out, and then a sheer cliff off the back. So, I mean, so like I said, we're gonna work with the gentleman because he was very cooperative with us. But, our main concerns, especially with, obviously the wind-blown trash and what have you, but, between the obvious rodent harborage that we have there, and then the fact that there were just a lot of vessels, like I said, there were like tin basins that you would, put stuff in and stuff, and those are all gonna retain water, and we obviously had the situation with West Nile last year, and we don't wanna run into the same type of situation. So with our, integrated pest management program, we're gonna make sure that we are, kind of attacking those types of situations, whether it be a pool that hasn't been serviced or fallen in covers or what have you, or, things like this where you're just gonna have a lot of retaining water. I just wanna make sure that we're gonna stay ahead of it, so. But that's pretty much it. I do have one other thing, that I was gonna discuss at the general update, but I can just do it right now. So we mentioned that, obviously that we're coming into tick and mosquito and, vector-borne disease, season, right? So we had a program with our mosquito control program last year where, we provided a link to, for all of our residents to be able to organize a spray outside of their house and what have you. So we're gonna, once they do start treating, we're gonna make sure that the website's updated to reflect, a link to that information as well. So obviously that's something that we're definitely gonna be taking seriously this year, so we wanna make sure that we don't run into a situation like we had last year. But that's all I have for you.
Very good, thank you.
It's a lot, but I try to talk fast.
Yeah, you talked about that. Good on those commercials.
Yeah, right.
All right, does anybody else have any,
I just have a question about, do we have an update on the air quality monitor?
oh,
So
yeah, that's what we got, for both of us.
So we actually do have a very good update on the EPA air quality monitor that's at the end of Eastern Ave. So The unit itself has been installed. They're just waiting on the electricity to be provided to it, so there was a.
You should see a
There was a
shelter
bid,
there.
yeah, there was a bidding process, and so now the unit is there, the black carbon monitor's been installed, as well as the enclosure has been installed around it. And we met with Sean last week, Tuesday, yeah, so
We meet with them every,
we've meeting with him very regularly.
Yeah.
You know, and he's very excited about the prospect of actually flipping the switches on these things, and, you know,
have
again,
a big ribbon.
yeah.
Yeah, would it be good to maybe have them come in and speak to us once they get the electricity
think
to it?
so,
and-
you know,
And give
I-
everybody an update on it?
I think that'd be great, and when we did, you know, talk to Sean about what the, you know, not so much what the holdup was, because we knew that, you know, rubber,
bidding process
once
takes time.
rubber, exactly, so once
Yeah.
rubber met the road, it was gonna end up being, you know, being a little bit longer of a process than we initially had thought. Thinking, no, just throw it it's like a percolate thing, it's like, no, this is a real deal, right, so, yeah, so that'd be great, I'll talk to Sean next time we meet, and I'll have him, come in and do a little presentation on what the next steps are gonna
Well, that would be great. And I did have another one too.
be. Fire away.
Got an email this morning from somebody on Clifton Ave. So it's a rodent issue. Property seems to have some trash issue, some foundation issue, and I guess this morning they found an adult rat and 6 small ones
Oh, yeah. I thought
entering property
Sure.
Did I forward?
and foundation.
So I did receive the email this morning. I did not see the attachment, so I'll have to look at the video.
Yeah, I mean,
But I did receive the email.
we've all seen,
Sure. okay.
Yeah.
we don't like them, but
I
it
didn't want
is
I
what
didn't
it
want-
is.
No, I forwarded that
But I
off.
just wanted to,
No, absolutely,
that
you know,
up,
I mean,
that's
and that's another thing that I do wanna make sure that we're staying on top of this year, because there was a situation down at Cliftondale Square last year where we did have
Huge, yeah.
a lot of rodent complaints, so we're gonna try to stay on top of it as best we can this year. You know, and typically this is the time of year where we do start hearing, you know, more about rodent activity, so
yes,
we're gonna be
I
listening.
wouldn't be surprised if we heard quite a few more.
Oh, they're coming, whether we like it or not, so, right.
Yeah.
But,
that's
but
all I
I'll make sure I keep my thumb on it, for sure.
I don't have anything else, I'm good now.
Thank you. All right. All right, well, no other comments? Well, I guess we can,
Well, like I said, I took care of the general update as far as the discussion is concerned, and other than that, unless anybody from the general public, from the audience has anything to say?
motion,
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second, and we will reconvene on, what is it? You got it there?
Yeah, it's, Monday is June 2nd.
I mean,
Okay.
June 2nd will be our last meeting. So. Okay, we will close the meeting until Monday, June 2nd. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
All in favor?